Hi everyone, it's Peyton, and I decided to do my vlog number 3 on the article Public Displays of Transaction by Chiara Atik. In this paired reading, the author discusses the impact that Venmo and social media has on couples and how a lot of the times when we use social media, we have this new look inside of people's lives. Social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, where the public can see essentially a couple at its peak, at its best, because when you are putting out your own media, your own content as a couple, you're obviously going to put your best foot forward. You're not going to let people see the fights, the rough parts. You're going to have them see the cutesy pictures and the really fun stuff. And so it's very interesting how the author kind of really puts emphasis on how the content that we see can really be up for interpretation, and the content that we see is really just a glimpse of the entirety of the relationship of the couple. The author writes, "Money is intimate, far more intimate, in fact, than sex." And this really caught my eye, and it really, I guess, resonated. I really understood it, just because at the end of the day, in this day and age, I feel like everyone kind of shows their love, their affection through money or purchases or gifts, and we see that less and less intimacy is the physical parts, is the in-person aspects, is the one-on-one time that just becomes less and less intimate, dates and things like that. And even intimacy throughout social media, the validation you have when your partner posts you on their Instagram or posts you on their Snapchat or posts you for National Girlfriend or Boyfriend Day, that is a new form of intimacy that's come with technology, and is something that I see and something that I've even experienced in past relationships. I remember how much validation I got when my partner would post me on their social media platforms, and how I would feel left out or unloved if my partner didn't post me for certain days and all that good stuff. But at the end of the day, social media really doesn't reflect intimacy at all, and we're kind of in this backwards kind of idea to where money and social media is intimacy, and sex or quality time is not intimacy, or they just outweigh one another, which is kind of not okay. The author also explains how this generation is more comfortable talking about sex than their money or transactions or their financial situation, and I completely understand that, especially within my age group. Everyone's very comfortable about talking about their sexuality, talking about their sex lives, but nobody really wants to talk about their financial situation. Nobody really wants to talk about the things that they spend money on or things that they don't spend money on. It's very, in a sense, the author really highlighted how our nakedness is less private than our money and our transactions and things like that, because that is definitely something that I even keep on the DL, is I don't want people, the down low, I don't want people really knowing what I spend my money on, especially personally, if that makes any sense. So a platform like Venmo actually allows us to have an inside look on what those around us are spending their money on, because every transaction you can leave a comment on what you're spending money on. So my recent transactions are mostly groceries, gas, food, just paying my friends for every this and that. You're okay, yeah, I'll Venmo you for that later. But sometimes things can be a little bit more personal, and you can see a little bit crazier transactions if you really look and figure out that you can actually learn a lot about these people through their financial transactions on Venmo. The author brings up this story about this girl that she stalks on Venmo throughout the article, as she claims to have witnessed this girl go through changes in her personal and romantic life as her Venmo transactions began super romantic, as in she had a boyfriend and they were super lovey-dovey. She said that they could be straight out of a rom-com, and then they started getting really, really dry, and this girl was making transactions that were half of the chandelier, half of the rent, half of this, because they're all splitting everything after the breakup. And then she would start to see transactions for things like wine or girls' nights out, which you do after a breakup. And then the funniest part to me is that she actually starts witnessing, like, oh, for a taxi, oh, for this part of the date, and then starts seeing her get into this other relationship again with a random guy. And it's just funny how Venmo has given us this another glimpse into people's lives, whereas social media gives us kind of the pedestal life, the life that people really want to present to the public, whereas Venmo is kind of a little bit more private just because it's money versus, I don't know, what the public wants to see. My major takeaway from this essay was that social media is all about filling in the blanks, and that a lot of assumptions are going to be made regardless of the content that you put out there. When we post on social media, we leave our audience to interpret whatever it is we have posted, and it is really no longer up to us. We can post whatever we want, and we can push out the messages whatever we want. We can put our best foot forward on social media, but at the end of the day, it's what our audience sees, and when we put that out there, we have no control over how people are going to interpret our posts, our Venmo transactions, anything like that. So you do, I guess, have to be more careful about what you post, but then you also have to be a critical thinker and understand that what you're seeing other people's posts is not how they live. It's not this real thing, because I know that some of the things that I post, like, they are the highlights of my life. Like, my life isn't like that all the time, but like the best moments and my favorite memories are what I tend to post. So that's all I have.